Hi, everybody. My name is Garima. I am affiliated to the Center for Library and Information Management Studies at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And currently, I'm working as a taxonomist at Walmart. And I'm really thankful to the organizers for this opportunity to share my views and insights on topics of importance for all of us LIS professionals. So, my presentation is titled Content Management Systems for Next Generation Hybrid Libraries. So, with the onset of COVID 19, I feel there's been a change in the way libraries function and operate, and also the information needs of our users have changed. So, that's why I feel this content management systems are something which have had their importance over the last few decades, but now in the last 1 or 2 years, we've realized how essential it is to reach out to our users and leverage these tools and technologies. So, like I discussed, there has been a major paradigm shift in the way libraries function. So, from books to tools and techniques are used to deliver the information services over the time. With all of these use cases in place, the concept of Library 2.0 came into being. So library 2.0 is not a very new concept, but is something which has been there where from a one-way channel we've moved to a more collaborative and two-way channel. So if we talk about the features of library 2.0, it offers a two-way communication channel where not only just the LIS professionals, but the users also come together, share and create knowledge, form online communities, and take part and host sessions like these. So, Library 2.0, as I said, is not a very new concept. This was coined way back by Michael Kesey, and now, as we move ahead and grow without changing information needs and the advancing digital infrastructure, we realize how important these concepts are becoming from our day to day lives. So, if we try to understand what would come under the scope of a library 2.0, we can see that network collection of information resources in the form of text, images, audio, and video files, which are systematically arranged along with relevant metadata to meet the user needs in a time bound and efficient manner. So nowadays, while we operate in independent silos in virtual manner, it's very important that we try and remain connected through technology because we've lost the essence of being together in purpose. Earlier, we had to have these casual conversations where the flow of conversation would maintain. But moving on to virtual nodes, we require such platforms to keep us all connected and together. Going ahead, if I talk about the features of Library 2.0, like what all would be covered. So, for us to come together and form and meet the goals of Library 2.0, we require training and capacity building of LIS professionals and users. We need to collaborate with the stakeholders at the most because they are the ones who can help us understand their most recent needs, their requirements, and working together with them would help us serve them in a much better manner. Designing the technical infrastructure is essential these days. Like, we've completely shifted to technical services for our day-to-day activities, and same relies too when we talk about libraries and library services. We are completely reliant, especially in terms of the lockdowns and closures. We rely greatly on these technical services to meet our needs. Automation of libraries, which is not something new, but again, we need more and more resources online. Acquiring e resources to better serve our users and their needs. Digitalization of printed documents. So, with physical barriers in place, we really require the printed documents to be digitalized and available right at the click of the mouse. Copyright distribution and management. So, one of this could be one of the challenges when we talk about digitalizing stuff. So we need to keep that in mind and practice in a fair manner. And the last but not the least, on which I'll be elaborating on, is developing a library website or a portal. So a library website or a portal could be considered as a knowledge gateway for all of us, It's the platform through which we interact with our users. It will be the first stop where our users would log on to when they require library services. Going ahead, I'll talk about the role of LIS professionals in these changing times. So, when we talk about developing our library websites or portals, nowadays there's this new hub word which I came across, that's cloudbrarian, because with all of us migrating all our resources on the cloud, so from librarians, we are also acquiring an additional role of managing the cloud based infrastructure and information resources as cloudbrarians. Procurement and organization of digital resources becomes really important based on identifying our user needs and information needs by them. In order to serve them better, we require to learn and implement futuristic technologies, which which are really important to develop library websites and portal, and imparting information literacy skills for being able to serve our users better. So if back in the days, if we would talk about developing a library website or portal, this would seem like something which an IT professional or someone who's well versed with coding may do. But with content management systems in place, it's something like which each of us can do, customize based on our needs and our collection. Now I'll go ahead and introduce briefly about content management systems. So most of us would be aware of them and might have already been using them in our libraries or our portals. So, content management systems can be defined as a software which supports and facilitates in creating, editing, organizing, and publishing content on the web. So, they comprise of ready-made templates and features where we can customize our portals based on our needs. So, it allows creation and publication of content over the web. So, these tools can allow users or anybody to create their own website, and they can be described also as software applications or a set of programs which are used to create and manage digital content. Um, so going ahead, if we go deep into some of the features, so these systems provide innovative and flexible ways to represent and publish our content online. With multiple options of templates and customization features available, we can play around and build the websites accordingly. And they're designed and developed keeping a view of a very, very wide audience. So it does not require any programming skills or expertise in IT. Anybody could go follow the steps and end up with their desired portal. So, drafting or customization of a content management system can be achieved through a graphical user interface. We do not have to go on the back end and design. A graphical user interface allows us to design our portal. Updating the content cyclically is very simple, even after publication. So, say if we have things like for our library services as new arrivals or announcements. So, we could go ahead, simply do it through the graphical interface and keep on updating and keep our portal active. So, some of the highly popular content management systems are Drupal and Joomla. Uh, in the next part of my presentation, I'll be elaborating on some of the features and comparing the two. Content management systems come with several themes and they allow arranging content properly. Regardless of the complexity that goes on the back end, it allows us to proceed in a very simple manner. So, going ahead, I'd like to share some of the applications of content management systems. So, one could be sharing factual information. So, the primary role which we librarians can leverage through these content management systems are designing or building our library website or portal. Nowadays, there are several CMS softwares which even allow us to customize and design our mobile library applications. So, it can help us share factual information with our users on daily basis, providing a directory of information or kind of a roadmap for users to browse through. We can also leverage this platform to train and capacity for training and capacity building of our users by offering one-on-one trainings or tutorials being uploaded, or Q&A sessions, so we can leverage this. Tracking and tracing our services. So nowadays, virtual bookshelves and resources have becoming more and more popular. So see, these softwares can help us go ahead with that. Providing access to traditional and online information. So when we talk about CMS, it can also help us connect to our traditional or hybrid models of information through digitalization. Now I'd be sharing the about the two most popular content management systems, those are Drupal and Joomla, and would be comparing some of the features that could be used. So for Joomla, if we look at the developers, it was developed by Open Source Matters, and Drupal was developed by the Drupal community. So these have been developed way back. If we look at the release date, it was for Joomla it was 2005, and Drupal was developed in way back in 2000s. They Joomla works on cross-platform operating systems, and Drupal is can be applied through Linux and Windows operating system. The script used for both of them are PHP, and the content types which we could design through these portals for Joomla are websites and other web application services, and Drupal allows us to design blogs and web pages. So far, if we talk about versions, so 17 versions for Joomla has been released, and for Drupal we have 4 versions. It also allows us to have a language and based translation. So Joomla is available in more than 70 languages. Especially if we talk about India, where the language changes every few meters of distance with the local dialects and the diversity. So these platforms can also help us design our websites in our regional or local languages. Going ahead, if we talk about availability of several extensions, Joomla has high end in terms of Drupal, there are moderate. Both have customized templates and themes available, and documentations are available for people who are starting new or building them. So that's also helpful. If we talk about personalization, there are moderate levels of personalization as per us for Joomla, but Drupal offers really high level personalization. The user community for Joomla is very active. So, like I said, there's documentation available. There are also user communities and groups available which help bring together users, and you can collaborate and discuss and troubleshoot together while building your portal. So, if we talk about editors, Tiny MCs, there's a built-in editor available in Joomla, and Drupal does not have a default editor as of now. Joomla also allows us to have single sign-in logins through their pages. For coming to the designs, there are wide selection of free and commercial designs both available, and extensions of videos, podcast, audio files are supported by Joomla. Okay, so there are also the Joomla news and content sections available to have that section in our portal. We have menu management through in both the platforms. We talk about themes. Drupal has around 2,400 themes available as of now, and looking at the extensions in more detail, there are several components, plugin, templates, themes, modules available in both the platforms. Okay, so these were some of the features. Now, if we go into more advanced features such as search engine optimization, so best practices are Drupal has been rated higher than Joomla in case of search engine optimization. Both of them offer multiple site customizability options, then team collaborations at various access levels takes place. And looking at the performance, both offer a highly scalable and out of the box performance to meet the user needs. Installation process varies in the two, but as I said, there are several communities available online. There are help books, resources, and guides which could help any of us install and start building our websites in a nice manner. So these were a comparison, or you could say a collaboration, where I'd like shared some of the features of these content management systems. There are other systems available too, which we can use. These were the two which are highly popular. So that's why I thought of compiling the features and sharing. Going ahead, so with these changing times, if we look at the skills and knowledge competencies required by LIS professional to meet their user needs. So earlier we could have said through the uses of these platforms, skills like web development, programming, database management, all of this come together in a consolidated manner where all could be done through this graphical user interface. Information retrieval skills are becoming a must, especially when the digital infrastructure is growing at a very large pace. I recently read a quote which really took me by surprise. It says that a librarian is a better search engine than Google. So that's where the whole concept of a human touch comes in place. That's how we, as librarians, could offer more relevant, precise information as compared to these automated search engines. And even when it comes to search engine, it's people like us who train these search engines. So that's why we need to take leverage of these cutting edge technologies for building our information retrieval skills. Talking about another skills which is really important is monitoring and evaluation. So as we move on to these new platforms and resources to meet our user needs, it gets really important that we just not deploy these resources, but we monitor and evaluate them in time to time manner, maybe through user feedback or a feedback with from our own team, so that uh, debriefing gets as important as briefing, so that we can work on it and keep on enhancing these features of platforms through in a better manner. So with the times being changing so fast, in no time things get obsolete. So we need to keep in pace with the time and keep on monitoring and evaluating our portals and platforms. When we talked about retrieval skills. At the same time, information dissemination skills is the need of hour. So the entire discourse of how user approach librarians or information professionals is now changing. We need to come up with new and innovative ways to disseminate information, to make the information available to the users at the most easiest manner, in especially eradicating the barriers of time and physical spaces, so they can access it anytime, anywhere. With these in place, another soft skills which are important are communication and our human resource management skills. So if we talk about technologies, it's not something we could completely let them take over. At the back end, we should never forget there's a human who's there. So we should design and build our technologies in a manner that we keep the human centered approach in our mind. These were all the skills and competencies for the new age or next generation library professionals. Now I'll go ahead and talk about some of the issues and challenges that we all could face or had faced over the time while we made the shift from the traditional libraries to the hybrid libraries. So one of the first issue that is widely being faced is of digital preservation. So with systems getting obsolete and changing at a fast pace, we need to make sure that the resources are preserved and we do not end up losing them because of infrastructural or technical issues. Then there is the issue of lack of infrastructure and digital divide. So in the last 2 years post COVID, this has been felt by several people where some of the students could not continue with their education because of the lack of infrastructure or in terms of digital divide. So as knowledge professionals, we have to play a role in making sure that the digital divide is bridged and more users leverage these technologies. Another issue that comes in place is of obsolete system requirements. So very quickly the systems change, so we need to stay up to date with all the system requirements. Then there are lack of policies and procedures if we look at a more larger or wider level for e-learning education and digitalization of libraries. Also, one of the issues which, if I talk about the Indian context, is about lack of multiple Indian language and the OCR system. So if you talk about India being such a diverse country, we require to have our portals supporting our local languages and dialects so that nobody is left behind and everybody could leverage those skills. So more and more Indian languages needs to be embedded in this system. Then comes in place is our lack of skills and expertise, which we need to go ahead and build hand in hand with each others as professionals. So these are some of the areas where if we could work on, we can come together and build a more next generation libraries for our users. So going ahead to the way forward for libraries, I just talked about briefly in the beginning about library 2.0. So with library 2.0, now we are moving ahead to web 3.0, or we could say we could in compliance with that, we could think of a model of a library 3.0. We need to get in play hands on our semantic web, where our library services connects data, and futuristic technologies like cloud-based platforms, integrated platforms, and knowledge graphs are now taking over. So we have to start exploring those and applying for our portals so that we could embed them too. Another, while thinking about a way forward, eradicating digital divide is a must so that we end up reaching the unreached and meet the needs of all our users in a fair manner. We have to continuously work on building our information literacy skills and competencies. Implementation of cutting edge technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, even at our library platforms can help. So nowadays, a lot of library portals have embedded a chatbot or a 24/7 reference librarians for them, which is really helpful for users, where they can come across and share their queries and the chatbot responds to them. Developing mobile applications could also help us stay more connected to the user, offer our services in a much better manner. These were some of the way forward for the next generation libraries. Now, I'd like to conclude by saying there's a rapid growth of information technology over the last few decades, and but it has opened a new medium for providing improved information resources, services for the users. And the future requires us librarians to reorient ourselves, to think more creatively and adopt new technology skills to generate services and resources where the skills of structuring and organization resources are put to its best use. So, as gatekeepers of knowledge, we need to restructure and reimagine our skills and upskill and reskill ourselves. The digital or virtual library networks can play a wider role in linking and connecting people to resources with the goal of providing universal access to information for everyone. If we look at a wider goal, and as librarians, we must bridge the gap of understanding and knowledge and accept the transformation process to improve our LIS culture in a much better manner. So, thank you so much for your patience and the opportunity.